Born and raised in Oregon, I am 24 years old. I'm a fat activist and post informative and lifestyle content to various social media platforms. Currently in my second year of a counseling program. Fat liberation, no weight loss talk.
Meet Leah, known to her followers as Splotchmaker, a vocal presence on TikTok, where she advocates fat acceptance and mental health awareness. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Leah's world to understand what lies beneath the bold statements and activism. Throughout this video, we will also cover her Instagram profile as background. Leah's initial TikTok presence was centered around relatable content, makeup, pet videos, and casual lifestyle vlogs. This era was marked by a lighter tone until, in my opinion, the passing of her cat, Spot, catalyzed a shift.
Me and this kitty have been through it all together. He's been with me since I was 7, and he was there with me for my Hannah Montana themed bedding and room. He slept on that every night.
From this point, Leah pivoted sharply towards fat acceptance advocacy, queer identity representation, and broader social issues.
I don't care anymore. There needs to be a lot more voices and visibility for the ongoing genocide in Palestine. Everyone needs to be calling for a ceasefire. If you're still COVID conscious in 2024, thank you. We do not get enough support. In fact, we get the exact opposite. We get gaslit, we get peer pressured, we get bullied, we get mocked, we get harassed.
Notice the same narrative as always.
We get gaslit, we get peer pressured, we get bullied, we get mocked, we get harassed. So I want to speak some positivity over here because we are protecting ourselves, our loved ones, our communities, our pets. We're doing an incredible thing, and not in any sort of like virtue signaling, like moral superiority way, but just we are doing an incredibly beautiful, kind, community oriented, scientifically backed thing.
So now you do believe in science. How can this be? Isn't this the same science you hate and dismiss?
And COVID is really, really serious. It's not just a cold. Even if for some people it presents as one, it damages every organ system in your body.
So does visceral fat.
So is obesity. Jumping jacks immediately.
There is well-documented knowledge of how COVID impacts the body and the brain, which is a part of our body.
Same applies to fat, but okay. Let's move on. What fueled this transformation? As we trace Splotch's trajectory, it's clear that her story is steeped in personal struggles, particularly with mental health. Leah's advocacy for fat acceptance is supported by her lifestyle choices. She claims she is vegan, yet no one believes her. However, vegan food does not equal healthy food, it may be on the contrary.
Fat people should never eat fast food is the most ridiculous fatphobic lie. I went and got Taco Bell, but if I post about it in a fat body, that's bad. But thin people posting about it, great, let's do a big haul. I am not the only person who went to Taco Bell today. There were other people in line. Some people are allowed to enjoy fast food and others are not. And that's based solely on body size.
But thin people probably do that just occasionally, whereas fat people should be more careful about their choices. They do not have the luxury, they already ate enough. In the next TikTok, she replies to a comment she deleted. The difference is that thin people are not one burger away from heart attack, which is both funny and true.
The fact you feel comfortable posting this is really strange. First of all, it was a Taco Bell video, and I'm pretty sure they don't sell burgers. The shitty thing is that no matter what I say, and no matter how many studies I throw at you, no matter anything, you are still going to bury your head in the sand and continue to make these comments on fat people's videos who are just trying to advocate for fair treatment, for a lack of judgment, and for not assuming our health status. It's really good practice as an adult to mind your own business about other people's habits if they're not harming you. And I think you would be a lot better off if you stopped harassing fat people like this. You're not making the world a better place whatsoever by commenting things like this, and I think you need to have a look at yourself and what you're putting out into the world.
Their comment is 100% wrong. My ex had a fast metabolism. Horrible eating habits. He's one Little Caesar pizza away from a heart attack.
Outlier does mean nothing.
In fact, is the other way around. Fat people have faster metabolisms because their bodies require more energy to sustain their larger mass. To continue my thought, poor eating habits and unhealthy lifestyle choices can lead to nutritional deficiencies, inflammation, and hormonal imbalances, which negatively impact brain function and mood regulation. These factors, combined with reduced physical activity, can increase the risk of developing mental health issues such as
I have trichotillomania, which is a hair pulling disorder. Now, this hairstyle might not look like much, but when you have depression and trichotillomania, this is a lot. I have a disorder that is very common, but people just don't want to talk about because of the shame and stigma associated with pulling your hair out. I'm talking about trichotillomania, a body-focused repetitive disorder surrounding your body and pulling hair from it. You can pull hair from your scalp, from your eyebrows, from your eyelashes, from your arms, your legs, your pubic area. Anywhere that grows hair, you can pluck it.
If you have an anxious mind and you're prone to comparing, I recently heard some advice or words of wisdom that really resonated with me. As someone with OCD, it's really easy to get in these patterns of rumination and to feel like you're not normal.
But wait, there's more.
I'm feeling pretty generous this morning, so I really wanted to pose kind of more of a rhetorical, self-processing question, but how would it sit with you in your immediate assumptions that it's related to weight or exercise? That I was struggling more emotionally in socio-emotional everything functioning, and I was more depressed and more anxious when I was thin and extremely active.
You were never thin.
It's always very suspicious when people make comments like this because I was a minor in all of that. And then people are like, oh my god, you look so much better back then. When I was a minor?
Better, yes, not thin. This is you at 16. All this mental health states, while making fun of the conditions.
I actually did it myself. Yeah.
Nice!
Leah frequently discusses societal discrimination and claims of systemic fatphobia. Her narrative often centers on the idea that people in larger bodies are unjustly targeted, painting herself and others in her position as victims of an unforgiving world. But where does this mentality stem from, and how does it impact both her audience and herself? Narratives that focus solely on external blame can create a sense of helplessness and victimhood, shifting responsibility away from individuals and reinforcing the idea that their circumstances are entirely outside their control. This mindset can prevent proactive self-care by discouraging individuals from taking personal actions to improve their well-being, as they may feel that external factors, rather than their own choices and habits, are the only determinants of their health and happiness, reinforcing negative self-perception and stymieing growth.
This is how it feels when you first come onto the internet as a fat person.
I can relate to desperation. My give a fucks are not vacationing.
Hey y'all, I'm snuggled up in bed, so I probably look strange, but I just wanted to come on here because I'm feeling sad, and I also think we need more grief representation. So if you are grieving, whether that be a pet, a human, or another loss,
I grieve my lost weight.
Fatphobia and ableism go hand in hand. This culture of ableism that we have makes people feel entitled to other people's bodies and makes people feel like they can look at and judge and pick apart and know you better than you know you.
You and pizza go hand in hand.
Could you imagine going to Africa? Yes, I'm African, by the way, and pulling this fatphobia crap. The level of derision they would have for you would be nuts.
I know, right? It's so privileged.
Being fat is actually fatphobic. Be better.
Splotchmaker has not shied away from discussing her strained relationship with her parents. She often references feeling unsupported or misunderstood, suggesting her family disapproves of her lifestyle and choices. This ongoing conflict further reinforces her stance as an outsider, amplifying the perception of societal and familial victimization.
Going away to college ruined my relationship with my family. They said the city ruined me. Family members gathered in secret to gossip about how poorly I turned out. They grew up telling me I'd go to college. It was a must, but they said community college was a mistake. Only losers went there, so I went to a state university. They said I wouldn't be able to pay for it. Grants and scholarships paid for most of my undergrad. They mocked me and said it was fake money. At every family gathering, they'd rarely ask about my school. They'd talk about everyone else's, but if I ever talked about mine, they'd go on their phones. I kept going to gatherings and tried to make my studies sound more interesting. I was double majoring and minoring. I was on the dean's and president's list. They didn't care. To them, I was paying to be propagandized and my studies were 100% useless. I started talking about other things, like my relationship and hobbies and interests. They couldn't understand how my partner and I were so happy. They told me from the beginning my partner was going to leave me eventually. We've been together nearly 9 years. I applied to a competitive graduate program and got in first round. I was going to get my master's as a first-gen student. Still, they didn't care. I was crazy and delusional for thinking I could ever be a therapist. I wouldn't be able to handle it. Therapy doesn't work, they said. I stopped going to gatherings. I stopped talking about myself. I stopped asking about things in their life. They gossiped about me still. How rude I was for not seeing them. How mean I was. Nothing I ever did was enough, and nothing I could ever do would be enough. I was done. Now I'm entering my 3rd and final year of my graduate program. I love the city and my career. I learned to stop seeking approval from people who only saw me as a comparison point to their stagnation. I finally chose myself.
Literally, my jaw dropped when I read the last part. Comparison point to their stagnation. Nothing more to add. Let's continue.
Brainwashed from college. I'm on your family's side.
It is devastating to learn that your family's love is conditional. And some of us learned that really early on in life and others learned it later, but it still stings. And the sting only hurts worse when it's due to just simply being who you are. It's not a big explosion. It's not a big disrespect. It's simply existing in a way that they don't want you to exist. That's the most painful thing. If you have a complicated or difficult family dynamic, I want you to hear this. This is the first year I've ever not gone to my family Christmas party, and let me tell you, it feels so good. And all of the lies that your anxiety tries to tell you about how bad you'll feel if you don't go, they're lies. I had a little conversation with myself on deciding whether or not to go, and maybe it can help you. The first thing I asked myself was why I felt it was so important to go. Why was it so important for me to put myself in that environment, knowing all the other times I've been extremely uncomfortable and dismissed? The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior, so I did a little checklist with myself, ran through, and I said, there is much more likelihood of me being drained than me having fun. And that showed me I needed to prioritize my well-being. If they really cared about me being there, then they would care about including me. They would care about including you. They would care about respecting you. they would care. It's their fault that I don't want to go. Happy Easter to everyone who has been excluded from family events, from friend events, from public events, because they don't want to get COVID. I'm right there with you, you know, the fake invites. We'd love to see you, but we won't do anything to actually make that possible.
At this point, it sounds more like you have agoraphobia or contamination OCD, to be honest. Avoiding family because of COVID still is pretty ridiculous.
Ask your family if they can please take COVID tests. Then you can spend time with them.
Negative rapid tests are actually not super reliable. They only really have any reliability once symptoms start, and you can be very contagious even before symptoms start. Plus new variants, rapids are.
My family doesn't even see me before they see my weight. If you are not fat, you have no idea how fucked up it is. No, seriously, this is not talked about enough. When we are fat, nowhere is safe unless you seek out and vet safe people. Some of the worst things people have said to me about my weight or my size have come from my family members, have come from my parents. Please listen to this. My brother tested positive for COVID on Saturday in the morning, and he was super sick and was in prolonged continued contact with my mother, who was unvaccinated. He was sick as a dog. My mom sees that. My mom knows the positive test, and what's the first thing she does? She goes to the movies. If you think fat people talk about weight a lot, then you haven't been around or lived with people who are fatphobic. Their entire lives revolve around their weight and making sure they're thin and don't look like us. It's fucking weird.
While many viewers empathize with family struggles, we have to point out that continuously framing oneself as misunderstood can limit the ability to engage in constructive self-reflection. Family rifts and the belief that one is perpetually wronged can amplify mental health stressors. An interesting facet of Splotch's personal life is her long-term relationship with her partner, who uses they/them pronouns. His TikTok is private and he won't accept my request. It would have been interesting to get to know his side better. I'm sorry, their side. They's side.
What, this is so cute. I love you and I am so proud of you always.
Their relationship narrative often underscores shared struggles, including significant weight gain over the years. We can clearly see the weight gain. The fat gain, I mean. Leah's identity as a queer person and her partner's use of gender-neutral pronouns add layers to their shared experiences. However, it's funny how all fat acceptance is queer, which is what a commenter said.
These are the type of people you're supporting if you're supporting people who health police. It's 2024. Why are you putting queer in quotes and saying it like it's a bad thing? Honestly, you're becoming more of a perfect example as your comments continue, and I don't know if you're doing this on purpose to help make my point, but damn.
And this just proves the point that all the discriminations are connected.
I think the point is, how does she have a boyfriend, but is queer?
I want to know why this app has become so homophobic recently. Just look at this and look at how many likes it has. When I'm watching my favorite series and suddenly they're adding a new character that's LGBTQ+, with a sad face. I don't get it. Why is it sad? And why does this have 50,000 likes almost? Probably more.
Well, you gotta admit that Hollywood went too far. Splotch often mentions her journey as a second-year grad student in clinical mental health counseling, positioning herself as an upcoming professional in the field. But this brings up an important question. Does Leah's public persona align with what is expected of future mental health counselors?
Anyway, now I'm in the second year of grad school to be a therapist. I've seen clients since September. Never in a million years.
While being in a counseling program is commendable, showcasing behaviors that contradict healthy mental habits raises questions about her readiness to guide others. Leah's social media often reflects a blend of pride and superiority complex when discussing her education and advocacy work. Which is very strange because on the other hand she loves being a victim. The subtle, and sometimes overt, bragging about her studies can come across as a defense mechanism masking deeper insecurities. Being excessively proud about your knowledge can signal a need for validation, especially when it contrasts with seeking help or acknowledging the need for counseling. This leads to an essential conversation. Why do some advocates seem to seek external validation for self-worth?
I'm in a full-time master's program, but you do you. Keep on stereotyping, baby. None of my accomplishments will ever come close to if I decided to get thin. If you are fat or have ever been fat, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but you will never be anything other than fat. No matter how much I accomplish, no matter how much I do, no matter how good of a person I am, no matter the community I hold, no matter the kindness I extend to others, no matter my politics, no matter my religion, first and foremost, I'm fat. A part of being fat is knowing that to so many people, the most exciting, celebratory, incredible thing you could ever do is get thin. Getting smaller is the accomplishment above all accomplishments. Above getting a master's degree, above getting a bachelor's degree, above landing a great job in your career, above being in a healthy relationship, above getting married, above getting engaged, above. A comment I get a lot on my videos is that I'm gonna die alone, no one will ever want me, I will never find love. And I just think it's so funny, especially with Valentine's Day coming up tomorrow. The assumptions that people make about fat people, or about anyone that is in a non-thin, able-bodied, socially acceptable form. I have not been single since 2015. I have been in a relationship since 2015. Tomorrow is going to be my, 8th Valentine's Day where I'm in a relationship.
Such an accomplishment.
And here's the thing about people who are ableist and fatphobic, right? They make all these stereotypes and assumptions about why the people want us, about what we have and what we don't have. But sometimes they will say the quiet part out loud, and it's, I can't believe this person is in a relationship and I'm single. And all I'm going to say about that is a great point for self-reflection if you are in that camp. What do you think love is? Who do you think is deserving of love? What does love mean to you? Maybe we're happy and in relationships because we found people who are not shitty. We found people who are not superficial. We found people who interrogate their biases instead of letting their biases rule their life.
Yes, totally, but also, who cares if you're in a relationship? Says nothing about you as a person.
You'll be single forever, I'm right here guys, LMFAO.
Fat fetish is a thing.
Mental health professionals agree. Balanced lifestyle choices can significantly improve mental well-being. Leah's decision to go off antidepressants without maintaining structured self-care highlights a broader issue.
Hi, bear with me. I just took off my makeup and did my skincare.
But, I think I've just always been depressed. I think it's something I've always struggled with, depression, anxiety. So, I think it's just that. Plus, a big thing is grief. Still miss my kitty cat. Always will. So, dealing with grief, dealing with, just those sort of things. And grad school is awesome and cool, but it's also grad school, and since I'm doing counseling, it's like you're almost put in a box and picked apart, quite literally. So it makes you be really like hyper aware of yourself, I think, in a way that is not always healthy.
Still finding excuses for comfort eating, which should not be a thing.
So just the pressure of that, stresses and stuff like that. But as for Lexapro, it was making me so tired. Like, it was making me exhausted. Like, truly, I could not exist on it. I was on it for about 2 years.
This is what would help: regular physical activity, balanced diet recommendations, healthy nutrition, good sleep routine. Improvement often starts with acknowledging what needs to change.
I am currently withdrawn from my Lexapro. The acute phase is gone, so I wanted to tell you some of the symptoms I've been having. They're not a lot, but it's wild. For background, I was on it for about 2 years. I was on 15 milligrams, and I was really bad at taking it anyway, so my withdrawal is probably going to be different than your withdrawal. I was kind of taking a pill every 3 to 5 days, almost withdrawing and then going back on it, because it takes 6.1 days for Lexapro to leave your system 99%, and it's been 2 weeks since my last dose. And the 2 symptoms I have that are so wild are severe brain fog and memory shit. Like, I don't even know if I'd call it memory loss. I think it's a part of the brain fog too, so maybe I'm just having brain fog.
It's your weight, homie. Lose weight, you will feel better. That doesn't mean get 6-pack abs, just some.
Please go to the gym. I'm not being rude at all. I'm giving you genuine mental health advice. I spent years being 300 pounds and depressed.
I'm answering questions off of my story right now, and one of them was, when did you realize it's okay to be fat? So actually in 2018, I was on sort of like a weight loss kick, trying to do that. And then as I got into 2019, the beginning of 2019, my body started changing. You know, I started gaining a little bit of weight, and I was like really struggling with internalized fat phobia, because my entire family has taught me from birth, just picked apart my body, said fat is horrible.
But that mindset was perfect. Look what your new thinking got you. Okay, tell us what changed.
But my body was changing, so I needed to dress it. I've only thought about the origins of how I unlearned it, or the inciting moments, a few times, but it really was just fat fashion and fat influencers who post fashion outfits or daily life content. I started watching Emma Thompson Hill in 2019 to kind of figure out clothing hauls and like where I could get clothes that fit my body now that I wasn't straight size. And I had never seen a fat person that was happy. Never. I didn't think that was a thing. Because at that point, my social media was just full of before and after weight loss pages and things like that. So, like, I was just really in this environment at home and online that was really fat phobic. I watched more of her videos. I followed her, and I followed other fat creators, and I had a moment to myself. I'm like, they look good when they're fat. They're not supposed to look good when they're fat, but they do.
It's bullshit.
I realized it was okay to be fat when I saw other people okay with being fat. And not just being okay with it, but actively trying not to change it and living their life to the fullest.
Actively trying not to change it. What do you mean? They forced themselves to keep the weight? What does this mean?
They had belly lines and big stomachs and big arms, and they didn't care.
Who cares?
From there, I unfollowed all of the weight loss pages, and I just followed a whole bunch of fat creators, which then led me into following people into fat liberation.
This have to be the worst decision of your life.
Which then got me interested in fat liberation and fat positivity, true body positivity. And then I started following people that posted infographics, disproving all of these things I had thought that were fact. And I was presented with new information that I just hadn't had before, because the world is fatphobic and doesn't want you to realize that you can be fat and be fine.
The new information is wrong, and why be just fine and not even better?
Be fat and be fine. So sometime in 2019, I realized it was okay to be fat because so many people were. And I had tried so hard, and it made me miserable. And I realized I had a choice between staying miserable in a body that was not going to change back to being thin. That thin ideal was gone after reading from so many scholars, my personal experience, everyone else's experiences. I realized I can live my life and be fat, or stall it and keep being miserable. I hope that answered everything.
I really started this account in 2020, Splotchmaker, just as a makeup account, and I wasn't very good at makeup, so splotchy makeup maker. I make splotches, my makeup splotchy makeup, Splotchmaker. And now I'm here with y'all. It's so sweet and so special, and thank you so much.
23. Queer, leftist, fat, vegan, fat liberation, grad student. She spent a lot of time posting about her cat, even long after she was gone. I bet she heard that sound a lot. She lives in a messy home and is very lazy.
I'm gonna do it, and you are gonna keep me accountable. I'm gonna clean my room. And I'm gonna do this hack I saw on here called June bugging, where you get very specific about what you're cleaning, and you always come back to it. Instead of saying you're cleaning your room like I just did, you say I'm cleaning my bed. I'm cleaning the desk, and the desk is the biggest thing for me right now. I'm gonna clean the desk, and I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like before and what it looks like after. Here is what it looks like right now. I just throw everything on it as I'm going out the door. All my packages, random everything. But I'm gonna clean up all this mess. I'm going to organize this and take out the recycling.
Okay, let's see how it went.
Well, I did a little bit of it. I got distracted and I went, I'm on break. And then I laid down and went scroll on my little phone. I think it looks a little better. We're organizing some things, a little bit. I'll check in again sometime when I finish it, but that'll be a separate video. So here's to hoping I finish it sometime. I will finish it.
And she never did. She makes fun of people earning from ads.
I have to show you guys my new water recipe. It's Rockstar Punched. You have to get this amazing hands-free recording device. It has completely changed my life with content creation. You guys weren't lying about the TikTok shop hair growth oil, I was kind of skeptical, but in just 2 months, my hair has grown an inch. Look at it. I did not want to give away my secret, but I have to. I can't gatekeep anymore. I can't. I can't keep the men off of me. These pheromones, I tried out the viral hand sanitizer and you will not believe how well it sanitizes.
It's only $10 more on here than on Amazon, and instead of Prime shipping, it's 3-month shipping.
And does the same.
I got this sent from Bath Pack, which is like a continuous spray mist bottle for your hair, and I've never tried one. But I wanted to put some water in it and then spritz down my hair. So I'm a 5X, and I really wanted to see how inclusive this towel was. This is the Joni. This fits up to a 7X. They also have Gemma and Ava, who are smaller. This fully wraps around the armpit, around my shoulders. Like, this is how much extra I have.
I think your skin needs more attention than your hair. The fast food did too much damage. Or maybe it is not all fast food's fault. And what is this 7X, 8X? Is there 100X?
Take a look around. Do you see her anywhere? News flash. You're not gonna.
Let's see some of her masterpieces before my final thoughts.
People love to wonder why fat people talk about being fat all the time. And I think that's a really big misconception because we talk about it a lot because the world talks about it. If the world wasn't so fatphobic, I wouldn't have to be so aware of that as a part of my own identity. We talk about it because we have to, because we're in this era of needing to bring visibility to fatness in a way that isn't just shitty.
Your identity is what you make of it, not what others choose for you. Take accountability, girl.
I don't usually respond to comments like this, but I think it is a perfect example of feeling entitled to other people's health statuses. My health is no one else's business but my own, just like your chaotic bottom's health is no one's business but your own. But we have this culture of entitlement towards fat people. This was in response to me making a comment saying, everything's fine. Basically, thanks for the concern. Everything's Gucci. I'm in charge of my own health. I'm a really good healthcare advocate. And apparently, the face I've always had says otherwise.
I literally went to that comment and I am shocked. Everyone under that video is just harassing you. I'm so sorry.
That's after I deleted like genuinely 500 comments, not counting the countless YouTube videos.
Often we hear contradicting, wildly different perspectives from marginalized groups on the same topic. How do we know who to believe? For example, I am fat, and I believe current healthcare practices and stereotypes about fat people are really harmful. Yet a regular comment I receive is, I'm fat too, and I don't think body shaming, fat shaming, stereotypes about fat people are wrong. And I think we need to look at two things. One, are they actually a part of the group that they are speaking on behalf of? And two, are they centering harm reduction? There is a big weight loss trend happening right now, as there kind of always is. So I wanted to hop on and say you don't have to join them. You don't have to join people in shrinking their bodies in pursuit of an arbitrary beauty standard. It's not sustainable, and there are much, much better ways to pursue health than just shrinking your body.
Don't lose weight.
People forget that what you like is often based on what you see, which is why representation is so important. What we see is not a direct reflection of what is genuinely likable and attractive and good. It is a reflection of what the people in power want us to think is good and pure and attractive. We soak up so much more from the world and our environment than we like to think. We are not immune to propaganda. People get high and mighty about things like disabilities and fatness, like they're somehow inherently bad and unattractive and not good.
But you do the propaganda.
Hey girl, maybe just accept the fact that most people aren't attracted to fat people and it has nothing to do with brainwashing.
If you get hated on a lot online, or you're someone who gets really affected by people not liking you or saying negative things about you, I have a little perspective shift for you by way of a quote, and that is, Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. And I know it's from Rick and Morty, but I cannot stress how important that mindset is. Being fat is actually very cool because you get to find out who people are very, very quickly. You find out if people are assholes and horrible people very quickly and very easily. No more are there moments of like, oh, I didn't know they were weird. I didn't know, like, they were mean. I didn't know they were gonna, like, be so judgy. We know. Immediately we know. There's this stereotype that fat people are just thinking about food all the time. And let me just tell you who thinks about food all the time. It's not a body type. It's people who are trying to restrict. It's people who are obsessed with their weight. I have never met anyone that is more obsessed with food than me back when I was really thin and fat phobic. Other people who are really thin and fat phobic. Other people who are fat and fat phobic. Other people who are any size and fat phobic. First of all, it's not wrong to think about food. We need food to survive. But two, we need to stop with this stereotyping based on someone's body of like, this is all you think about, that's all your life, that's all you do. People just can't understand that I'll just be sitting doing my thing and I'll be like, damn, I really need some fucking fruit right now. Or damn, I need a fucking salad. Or I need some fucking protein. Like,
don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious.
Like, they don't think that I could ever want a vegetable. They don't think I could ever be vegan. They don't think I could ever do anything in my life that isn't revolving around when can I get the next crumb. I just think I need fruit, I need protein. I get it, and I move on with my day. It's truly that simple. Fat people are not gluttonous and greedy and selfish and obsessed with food.
Sure, we believe you. If you have watched at least one episode of my 600 pounds life, I think about food constantly, is the most frequent sentence. And you are not far from them.
Says the one who posts about food and fat people all the time currently.
You most likely have a food addiction if you are fat. You are eating more than your body needs, so you must be constantly snacking or eating.
You lie to yourself by lying to us.
Non-alcoholic but pro-diabetic drink for sure.
God damn.
And they're saying, oh, thank God I don't look like you. You're a worst case scenario. At least I'm not that. People literally...
Yes, people think about you everywhere and all the time. And don't tell people what to think.
The only way to be credible as a fat person on anything is to say that you've lost a significant amount of weight. Like, the only people that are not getting constant harassment are the fat people who are constantly telling everyone that they are trying to be thin.
So only people who try to better themselves are ones who get support? Sounds about right.
Here's why it doesn't really make sense when you say, they're fine to be fat. It's just about me. I'm not fine with being fat. There's this big cultural understanding in the whole field of weight loss that it's just about ourselves. And, you know, other people, I don't judge them for being fat. There's a little bit of a dissonance there. Why do you not like being fat?
Fuck off. You went too far. You cannot make me want to be fat. You are a very bad person.
Not everything is about you though.
This video did not turn out the way I intended to. I started by watching all of her TikTok videos. After 2 weeks of losing brain cells, I noticed that many of the videos I have previously covered are missing. So I dug deeper. It turns out that at some point in time, she became self-conscious and aware of the nonsense herself, came back to her senses and deleted a lot of her old content. However, I managed to find some. Let's watch few.
Hey, stop being a dick to fat people, huh? It's a good idea. Shutting your mouth and minding your business.
Every year, fat phobia becomes less and less acceptable. So in about 10 or 15 years, I don't want to see y'all pretending like you didn't enjoy and engage in fat phobic content.
You can do whatever you want with your body, including intentional weight loss, but don't act like your actions exist in a vacuum, because all your actions have consequences, and when you post that sort of content, you're directly contributing to a toxic body hierarchy.
Isn't this true for your content?
It really bothers me when fat people get this question: who wants to be oppressed? That's just a Republican talking point. It's null, it's void, nada. I love going into the doctor for any sickness, any ailment, and having it be either attributed to my gender or my weight or both. Might be my spiciest take yet. Call me bitter, call me jealous, call me whatever you want. It's all interaction. But I find so much satisfaction when giant accounts that are so harmful and push excessive, extreme weight loss, promote fear tactics surrounding fatness, and then I check up on them, and they're gaining the weight back. It just feels like sweet, sweet karma.
You are so evil.
Like, oh, people are so fucking ignorant. Oh, they're so proud of it. The Whale is a shitty fucking movie, and if you think it's like pure cinema, please take a look inside of yourself, please. Me one day randomly having the urge to stop being ugly. Hashtag weight loss. 1.1 million likes. All it is just calling fat people ugly. Like...
I approached this deep dive with the goal of better understanding the perspectives of fat acceptance activists, with an open mind to potentially changing my views on the movement. I ran a poll in the community section to decide whom to cover. My goal? To see life from the lens of a fat activist, a month in their shoes. After spending this time exploring her content, I can say it was an experience, entertaining at points, but ultimately reaffirming my views rather than challenging them. I began with mixed feelings, initially feeling some empathy but eventually shifting to disappointment and frustration. Leah frequently seems focused on garnering sympathy from her followers, often filtering out any critical feedback while presenting herself as intellectually and morally above others. This sense of superiority, coupled with a frequent search for excuses, left a strong impression that she resents the idea of change and actively resists it. Leah appears isolated, spending most of her time at home with her partner. The irony is that many of the mental health struggles she references may stem from this cycle of inactivity and weight. While I do see some intelligence in her, a fresh approach for her might be to engage more in the world outside social media, which may provide both a broader perspective and new sources of fulfillment. Perhaps future stories from other fat activists will influence my perspective differently. Like and subscribe for future deep dives, and let me know which figure we should explore next. Let's end this video with full TikTok nonsense and be fat phobic.
You cannot win on the internet as a fat person, because if you show self-confidence, you show that you're secure, then people, one, either think you're totally faking it, or two, think you are a complete delusional narcissist.
Which is true for you?
Because apparently smiling in your videos and being generally happy with your life when you're fat is something that people think is impossible. But then if you show any lacking of confidence, if you show any lapse or insecurity, they latch onto it. And they say, of course you're insecure, you're fat. And then they use that to discredit the rest of the movement, saying this is the truth and everyone else is lying. Saying that at our core we are insecure and just projecting everything onto other people. Fat people are allowed to be happy with their lives.
But how are you happy with your life and depressed at the same time? Is it even theoretically possible?
Why is it narcissistic for a fat person to not take hate, to be smiling and bubbly and be willing to have an opinion and be informed? How come that is stigmatized? But if a thin person were to do it, suddenly they have credibility. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to credibility. Nothing a fat person does, outside of constantly apologizing for their fatness and actively changing it. Why can't a fat person be happy? Why can't a fat person be normal? I have people in my comments every day. I see it in other people's comments. If a fat person is doing a thing, they will be hated on doing that thing because they're fat. Why is a fat person making makeup content?
That's a genuine question. I think obese person should have different priorities rather than trying to artificially enhance appearance.
Why is a fat person doing a travel vlog? Why is a fat person going to school? Why is a fat person insert any other hobby or life activity instead of being at the gym, instead of losing weight? Our entire lives don't have to be about our weight, which is another funny thing, because all over my comments, all over the internet,
if your content is about fat, what should I comment? What is the weather?
When people talk about fat activism, people talk about body diversity, people talk about body positivity, they say, all you do is make everything about your weight. But if we try to do anything not related to our weight, it's, why are you doing this? You need to be losing weight. And it might be hard to believe if you haven't experienced it yourself, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And it doesn't mean it isn't common. These are shameful experiences that people don't want to talk about. People don't want to talk about how they're being bullied. People don't want to talk about how they're being harassed. Some people just want to forget it's even happening. Some people just try to give benefit of the doubt. It's hard to reckon with the fact that you're being bullied. It's hard to even be willing to acknowledge that and not internalize that self-blame and say we deserve it. Because I also get fat people in my comments every day saying we deserve it. We deserve fat shaming.
No, you don't. I've read all your comments. Another lie.
So people don't want to talk about how they're being harassed, but fat people can't win on the internet. Because at the end of the day, you guys just don't want to see us. You don't want to see us because you don't want to be us.
But what are you trying to win? On the internet? A marathon?
There's so much internet talk about people saying they would literally kill themselves if they were fat. People who grow up fat grow up trying to figure out where the hell they're gonna slice into themselves so that they can finally give themselves their own lipo and shit. In like elementary school, dude, like that's not cool. That is the type of anti-fatness that we are up against. It's deep. Fat people are only allowed to be doing one thing, and that is losing weight. So therefore, I am a narcissist, I am a liar for talking about my relationship, for talking about how fat people should not be harassed, for going to grad school.
Again with the grad school.
For playing video games. Even working out. Because if you talk about working out or post a workout video that isn't exclusively revolved around calories and losing weight and getting smaller and how many pounds you've already lost, then it's useless. It's a pointless activity. Literally, it's not about being healthier. The only way a fat person can exist online or in public is by being smaller.
What is this word salad?
Is by obsessing over our size, obsessing over our health in these ways that are so harmful. This is why people grow up thinking that they can't do life. Life can't start for them until they lose weight. They can't go on that trip. They can't go to that relationship, or they can't go to that job. They can't go to school. They can't do this. They can't pursue their dreams. They can't go do anything until they lose weight. Fat people start with a wall in front of them that they have to scale before they can even enter into the graces of society. You can't live your life, you can't enjoy your life until you scale that fence.
Well, life isn't all about eating. The enjoyment of food.
Until you lose that weight. Until you get to the other side and you're thin. Then you can be happy with yourself. Then you can be healthy. Then you can be in that relationship. Then you can be in that friend group. Then you can get that job. Then you can wear that bikini. Then you can eat that food. That's the only way we're accepted. That is the only thing a fat person can do. And we must never dare to try to do anything before then. And y'all will try to retaliate and keep us in that box. And try to keep us feeling small.
Small?
Through your little comments and videos and responses and critiques. You need to remind us that that is our thing. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And we're ridiculous and should be embarrassed doing anything else. Because fat people aren't credible. What we say doesn't happen. What we say happened to us, what we say we experience, that's not real. And if it is, well, then you asked for it. We don't have to listen to that. We shouldn't have to endure that. But until the culture catches up, that fat phobia and the harassment we receive is actually bullying and is actually problematic and isn't okay.
Bullying is not okay for sure. But fatphobia is. If that is even a thing, we should all be fatphobic, scared of fat, knowing what health complications it brings.
We are going to have to continue to endure this shit and do our best to find community and just ways through it. Because no matter what, there's only one right way for us to live. Also, I would just like to point out as a PSA, I just watched through the video, and I was reminded that fat people get called out for making now all their content about their weight if they dare to talk about fat positivity, body liberation, body diversity, any sort of shit where you're not supposed to hate yourself. And you're a fat person. Or you're talking about your experiences being fat. You're making weight your entire thing. You're making your fatness entire thing. But people who do weight loss pages and their entire content is just weight loss. It's also about weight. It's also about their body. But somehow that does not get the same treatment. That does not get called the same thing.
Well, it's bettering versus harming yourself. Not the same thing, yes.
Imagine spewing the garbage fat acceptance nonsense you do, and when people push back with facts you call it bullying. Yikes. So sad.
Why is a fat person going to school? Something that has never been said ever.
The internet is filled with trolls. Don't listen. If you're not pissing people off, you're not doing it right. I'm so sorry though, BB. Sending.
We gotta shift the culture.
What do you think about Leah's story and the broader conversation?
I'm not the biggest fan of Lizzo, but I will be damned if a group of thin women hate on her.
What are you going to do? Bully them into liking her?
Do not comment on someone's weight change. If you perceive someone to be smaller or bigger, don't.
Didn't you literally comment on Taylor's weight about her anorexia?